The story begins under blinding lights, where Madison Cole's name is screamed like a war chant by fans pressed against velvet ropes. Every flash of a camera ignites the night sky like fireworks, and she stands at the center, sculpted gown, flawless skin, the living embodiment of perfection. Magazines have christened her the most beautiful woman alive, and the world seems to worship her as if she were untouchable. On the red carpet, she poses with effortless grace, every smile calibrated, every angle mastered through years of practice. Yet behind that poised exterior, there's a strange stillness in her eyes, a secret weariness hidden beneath mascara and gloss. For Madison, the cheers of the crowd sound less like love and more like hunger, as if they're devouring an image rather than reaching out to her. The irony is cruel. She is surrounded by thousands of adoring voices, yet she has never felt more alone. In that moment, the audience sees the first fracture in her perfect life, the emptiness behind the mask of glamour, a haunting foreshadow of the storm to come. Later that night, the cameras are gone, the gowns discarded, and the penthouse door shuts on the performance. Madison retreats to her bathroom, a sanctuary of marble, gold fixtures, and silence. She leans over the sink, gripping its edge as if anchoring herself to reality. With deliberate, almost frantic motions, she begins scrubbing away layers of foundation and shimmer, watching her public face vanish with every swipe. Mascara streaks down like dark tears, lipstick smears into nothing, until only Madison, the woman beneath the myth, remains. She stares into the mirror, studying herself as if seeing a stranger. Her whispered question slices the silence. Do they love me? Or just my face? It isn't rhetorical. It's a desperate plea. This is the heartbeat of her torment, the suspicion that the affection surrounding her is shallow, conditional, temporary. She has built a career on a beauty that feels both like her crown and her prison, and as the glitter drains away, she feels exposed, raw, and painfully ordinary. Alone in the quiet, Madison's vulnerability is undeniable, setting the stage for her core struggle, a longing not for applause, but for authenticity. The illusion shatters completely at the after-party. Champagne flows, laughter rises, and Madison drifts through the crowd with her usual flawless charm. Her boyfriend, a powerful Hollywood producer, at her side. To everyone watching, she is radiant, desired, envied. But fate delivers its cruelest blow when she slips into the hallway and catches a hushed conversation. His voice, unmistakable, floats through the crack of a door, dismissive, cold, sharpened by arrogance. She's beautiful, sure, but easy to control. Women like her are only as valuable as their looks. The words hit her like a blade to the chest, slicing through years of self-doubt she has tried so hard to bury. In that instant, her suspicions are confirmed. Not even the man closest to her sees her as anything more than a possession, a trophy to display. She doesn't cry, doesn't confront him. Instead, she does what she's always done, performs. She re-enters the party, plastering a dazzling smile for the cameras, but inside, something irreparable fractures. The applause is now hollow, the champagne bitter, the lights blinding. This betrayal doesn't simply hurt, it awakens. It marks the moment Madison realizes her life, her love, her very identity has been built on fragile illusions. And deep inside, a quiet, dangerous question begins to form. Who is Madison Cole, if not the face they all worship? Madison Cole wasn't born into the glitter of Hollywood. She grew up in a small town where Friday nights meant football games, summer evenings smelled of fresh-cut grass, and everyone knew everyone's name. She was the girl next door, friendly, approachable, always quick with a smile. Yet even as a teenager, her beauty became both her blessing and her curse. Teachers praised her looks before her essays. Classmates whispered about her figure more than her ideas, and strangers often reduced her to her appearance alone. Madison longed for someone to notice her ambition, her curiosity, the way she devoured books late into the night, or how she could recite whole movie monologues from memory. But no one ever seemed to see that part of her. At 18, with a heart full of hope and a suitcase too small for her dreams, she left her small town behind. Acting wasn't just about fame for Madison. It was her rebellion, her attempt to prove she could be more than a pretty face. But as the years unfolded, she discovered that Hollywood was far less forgiving than she imagined, and the price of chasing her dream was far steeper than she had ever anticipated. Now at the peak of her career, Madison's face is on every magazine cover, her name trending weekly, her presence commanding millions of adoring followers. Outwardly, she has everything: the penthouse overlooking the city, the red carpet gowns, the applause that follows her into every room. But when the cameras dim, her reality is far lonelier. Her so-called friends are mostly industry contacts, people who see her less as a person and more as a ticket to influence. Phone calls with her estranged parents have withered into silence, strained by years of distance and unspoken resentment. She hasn't had a genuine relationship in years, only fleeting romances with men who adored her beauty but never reached for her heart. In the mirror, she wears perfection like armor, flawless skin, sculpted body, a smile that never cracks because she fears the world will find her ordinary if she dares to be vulnerable. Deep down, the girl who once wanted to be valued for her mind feels further away than ever, lost beneath layers of expectation and performance. The world sees a goddess. Madison feels like a ghost. Surrounding Madison are the people who define her fragile existence. Ethan Rivers, her powerful producer boyfriend, is the very embodiment of toxic love. Controlling, charming in public, but dismissive in private, he sees Madison not as a partner, but as a commodity to be shaped, displayed, and leveraged. Then there's Lila, Madison's loyal assistant, the only person who notices the exhaustion behind her smiles, who quietly slips her tea during panic attacks, who dares to remind her she's human. And somewhere in the shadows of her memory lingers Noah Walker, the grounded architect she met briefly years ago at a charity gala. Unlike everyone else, he hadn't gawked at her beauty but had spoken to her as if she were simply Madison, a fleeting encounter that left an imprint she never forgot. Together, these characters circle her unraveling world, each symbolizing different threads of love, loyalty, or exploitation. But the stakes run deeper. Madison's career, her entire identity, rests on maintaining flawless appearances. The tabloids worship perfection and crucify vulnerability. If she falters, if she allows the cracks to show, everything she has built could collapse. Yet inside, her soul is fraying, her longing for something real growing impossible to ignore. This tension between her image and her truth sets the stage for her greatest conflict, the risk of losing everything she has in order to finally find herself. The scandal erupts like wildfire. Tabloids plaster Ethan's betrayal across their covers. The world-famous producer caught with a younger model, his hands on her waist, lips too close for denial. For Madison, the humiliation burns sharper than the betrayal itself. She confronts him, expecting at least a flicker of remorse, but Ethan doesn't flinch. Instead, he leans back in his leather chair, glass of whiskey in hand, and delivers the words that break something inside her. You'll stay. You need me. Without me, you're nothing. The cruelty isn't just in the statement, it's in the calm certainty with which he believes it. Madison stands frozen, not in tears, but in a chilling silence. For years, she has wept when men reduced her, when the industry consumed her. But tonight, the tears don't come. Only numbness. She realizes with terrifying clarity that this is the story of her life. Beautiful, controlled, used. For the first time, instead of bending, she chooses to let something inside her snap. And in that shattering, a dangerous strength is born. That night, Madison performs a ritual she has never dared before. In her penthouse bathroom, the same mirror where she has always transformed herself into the world's most desired woman, she does the opposite. She strips away everything that made her Madison Cole, the icon. The false lashes, the shimmering powders, the perfect curls. Her reflection grows rawer with each stroke until the face staring back feels almost unfamiliar. She pulls her hair into a messy bun, slips into oversized sweats, sneakers, and an old hoodie that swallows her frame. No jewels, no perfume, no designer gown, only a woman trying to breathe. She gazes at herself one last time and whispers, almost in disbelief, "This is me." Then she walks out, past the marble floors, the gilded elevator, the doorman who barely notices her under the hood. Into the night, she blends with the crowd like a ghost among the living. For the first time in years, she isn't Madison Cole the star. She is simply Madison, unseen, unrecognized, gloriously ordinary. And in that ordinariness, she tastes freedom. Her feet carry her without plan through the restless streets of Brooklyn until the glow of a small cafe draws her in. Inside, warmth replaces the chill of night, the hiss of steaming milk, the murmur of soft jazz, the clink of mugs against saucers. No one looks twice at her. The barista takes her order without fanfare, offering a casual smile as if she were just another tired customer. The absence of recognition feels surreal, almost intoxicating. For once, she isn't on display. She is simply seen. As she sits in the corner, sipping her coffee, fate intervenes. The bell above the door jingles. And in walks Noah Walker, the grounded architect she had met years ago in a fleeting, almost forgotten encounter. He doesn't notice her at first, not with her disguise of plainness, not without the armor of glamour. When their eyes finally meet, there's no spark of celebrity recognition, only the quiet warmth of two strangers acknowledging each other. They strike up a conversation about the weather, the coffee, the city itself. Simple words, but for Madison, they feel revolutionary. Noah's kindness isn't colored by her fame. It's genuine, uncalculated. As they talk, something delicate stirs in her chest, not desire, not performance, but hope. A seed planted in the most unexpected soil, in the most ordinary of places. Madison begins to live in fragments, split between two worlds that grow harder to reconcile. By day, she is Madison Cole, the untouchable star, the woman whose every movement is dissected by tabloids, whose every dress is worth headlines. Ethan stands at her side like a puppeteer cloaked as a partner, ensuring she smiles on cue, poses when commanded, and bends to the unspoken rules of Hollywood's machinery. Behind closed doors, he reminds her of her place, repeating with quiet menace, "Remember who made you. Remember who owns you." Yet by night, slipping into her oversized hoodie and sneakers, she becomes someone else entirely, Maddie. In this hidden identity, she wanders into Noah's world, unrecognized, unburdened. With him, she is not an image, but a person. They walk through farmers' markets, sip cheap coffee on stoops, share laughter over things no headline would ever find worthy. These dual lives create a dangerous intoxication, the safety of the cage. She knows versus the freedom of a world that could vanish the moment her truth is revealed. The deeper she ventures into Noah's warmth, the sharper the guilt gnaws at her. She is lying with every smile, deceiving the only man who has ever seen her as more than her reflection. Noah draws Madison into his orbit with a gentleness she has never known. He introduces her to his mother, who hugs her like an old friend without hesitation, to his sister who teases her over board games, to his circle of friends who laugh too loud, drink cheap wine, and care nothing about appearances. In their presence, Madison tastes something almost foreign, authenticity. She eats home-cooked meals without worrying about paparazzi lenses or calorie counts. She joins in conversations where no one interrupts to compliment her face or ask for favors. These simple, unpolished moments feel richer than all her red carpet triumphs. Yet as she falls deeper into Noah's world, she feels the chains of her other life tighten. Ethan grows suspicious of her distraction, sensing her heart drifting elsewhere. His subtle manipulations turn into sharpened threats. You think you can survive without me? Watch me destroy you. He reminds her that her contracts, her roles, her endorsements, all are tied to his power. The more joy she discovers with Noah, the greater the risk that Ethan will crush everything she has built, leaving her exposed and penniless. Madison stands on a knife's edge, torn between the man who shackles her with fear and the man who unknowingly holds her fragile hope. The conflict consumes her, night after night. In Noah's company, she feels like herself, raw, imperfect, alive. He listens when she talks, notices the way she fidgets when nervous, remembers her smallest preferences as if they matter. Yet every time he looks at her with unguarded trust, her stomach twists. She knows she is deceiving him. She knows that the day he discovers she is Madison Cole, not Maddie, the quiet woman in oversized sweaters, his warmth could turn to resentment. But what terrifies her more is the possibility that he'll see her the same way everyone else has, as a face, a fantasy, a prize. Her heart wars against her fear, urging her to leap, to risk, to believe in something real. Meanwhile, Ethan looms larger in her life, threatening to expose and ruin her if she dares stray from his control. The stakes are no longer just about love or fame. They are about survival of the soul. Madison must choose, remain in the gilded prison of her career, where she is adored but empty, or risk everything, her status, her wealth, even her safety, for the chance at a love that feels devastatingly, beautifully real. Every step she takes with Noah deepens the danger. Every smile she fakes beside Ethan deepens the lie. The tension coils tighter, promising that her double life cannot last forever. The secret life Madison fought so hard to protect unravels in an instant. One careless moment, leaving Noah's Brooklyn apartment at dawn, hoodie pulled low, hair messy from sleep, and the cameras strike like vultures. Paparazzi swarm her on the sidewalk, flashes blinding, voices jeering. Madison! Who's the mystery man? By the afternoon, the photos are everywhere. Headlines scream, "World's most beautiful woman slumming it with average guy." Commentators mock Noah's plain looks. Tabloids dissect Madison's double life, and social media turns their private moments into cruel memes. For Noah, the revelation lands like a betrayal. The woman he welcomed into his family, the one who claimed to be Maddie, ordinary and real, is revealed as Madison Cole, a global icon, the very embodiment of everything he thought she wasn't. His voice trembles when he confronts her. "You lied to me." Was this all a game? Was I just your little escape? His words sting worse than the headlines, because in them is the echo of every fear Madison has carried, that no one could ever separate her from her image. The life she built with Noah in quiet corners and unlit streets crumbles in one devastating morning, leaving both of them reeling from the fallout. As if the humiliation weren't enough, Ethan seizes the moment with ruthless precision. He launches a smear campaign that paints Madison as erratic, unstable, incapable of handling her fame. Interviews are leaked, anonymous sources speak to tabloids, and the narrative spins out of her control. Noah, too, becomes a target, branded a nobody, a leech, a distraction dragging Hollywood's brightest star into mediocrity. The cruel irony is that Madison had hidden from Noah to avoid this exact outcome, and now her lies have brought it to pass. In the storm of betrayal and ridicule, she reaches her breaking point. She seeks Noah out, No cameras, no makeup, no disguises. Just raw truth trembling in her voice. I wanted someone to love me without the mask. I didn't trust that anyone could. Her confession spills out in sobs, every word a desperate attempt to make him understand that the lie wasn't about him, but about her fear of being unlovable as herself. Noah listens, but his face is torn with conflict. He loves her. That much is clear in the pain in his eyes, yet the fracture of trust feels insurmountable. His response is quiet but brutal. I don't know if I can believe you. Those words hollow her out more than Ethan's threats, more than the headlines. In losing Noah's trust, Madison fears she has lost the one thing she was truly searching for, a love untouched by fame. The breaking point comes in a blaze of cameras. Ethan organizes a press event, staging himself as the loyal partner, standing by Madison to salvage her image. But as the microphones surround her, Madison makes the choice that defines her. She steps away from him, literally and symbolically, pulling her hand from his grip in front of the world. Her voice doesn't tremble as she declares, I am done letting anyone control my life. The crowd erupts, journalists shout, Ethan sneers, but she doesn't waver. In that moment, Madison sacrifices everything, the carefully curated image, the safety of Ethan's power, the career she has spent years building under the illusion of perfection. It is both terrifying and liberating. She knows the consequences, endorsements will drop, roles may vanish, her name may be dragged through every tabloid gutter, but she no longer cares. For the first time, she isn't living for approval. She is living for herself. Walking away from Ethan is more than ending a toxic relationship. It is the symbolic breaking of chains that have bound her since she was 18. Whether Noah forgives her or not, whether her career survives or crumbles, Madison steps into the unknown with nothing but her raw, unmasked self. And though the future is uncertain, the act itself is a victory, the climax of her journey from image to authenticity, from possession to freedom. In the weeks after her public break from Ethan, Madison does something no one expects. She begins dismantling the empire that once defined her. Contracts go unsigned, endorsements are canceled, photo shoots postponed indefinitely. When reporters hound her for answers, she offers none. Instead, she quietly severs ties with Ethan and every figure who profited from her silence. The entertainment world reacts with confusion, some calling it career suicide, others applauding her bravery. But for Madison, it isn't about perception anymore. It's about survival of the soul. She takes the money and influence she still has and channels it into something she wishes she'd had as a young girl. A foundation that empowers young women to believe in their intelligence, creativity, and strength rather than just their reflection in the mirror. Speaking at the foundation's first event, she admits openly, I let the world convince me I was only as valuable as my face. But beauty fades. What remains is who we are, and that is enough. For the first time in years, her words are not scripted, not rehearsed, not polished for applause. They are raw, honest, and hers. And the applause that follows is not for Madison Cole, the goddess, but for Madison, the woman. With her public life stripped down, Madison dares to face the more personal wounds she's long avoided. She drives back to her hometown, the place she once fled, unsure if she belongs there anymore. When she knocks on her parents' door, silence stretches before it opens to reveal two older, wearier faces etched with both love and distance. The reunion is awkward, words clumsy after years of estrangement. Her father clears his throat too often. Her mother hovers as if afraid Madison might vanish again. Yet as the evening unfolds, barriers soften. They share a simple dinner at the old oak table, the same one where Madison once dreamed of leaving. Between stories, laughter slips out, fragile but real. Later that night, as Madison helps her mother wash dishes, the older woman touches her arm gently and whispers, I don't care about the magazines or the fame. I'm just glad to have my daughter back." The words pierce Madison deeper than any award speech ever has. In that quiet kitchen, surrounded by chipped plates and the smell of soap, she realizes healing doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it's in small forgivenesses and love rekindled without conditions. For the first time in years, she feels rooted, not in fame, but in family. Meanwhile, Noah throws himself into his work, sketching late into the night, pouring his emotions into blueprints and designs. He doesn't chase Madison, doesn't call, but she lingers in his thoughts like an unfinished line on a page. He admires her courage from afar, reading about her foundation, watching her choose integrity over applause. Yet his heart wrestles with the fracture of trust. For Madison, however, this pause becomes her liberation. For the first time in her adult life, she isn't desperate for validation, not from Hollywood, not from Ethan, not even from Noah. She learns to find joy in the ordinary, morning walks without disguises, cooking meals in her own kitchen, journaling without fear of tabloids dissecting her words. She rediscovers the girl who once left a small town with dreams. And this time, she doesn't run from her ordinariness, she embraces it. In the mirror, she no longer searches for perfection. She sees a woman whole, flawed, and enough. Madison's empowerment isn't about winning back the spotlight or even Noah's love. It's about claiming herself, unmasked and unashamed. And though Noah still stands at a distance, the seed of something deeper remains. Whether or not their paths entwine again, Madison knows one thing with unshakable clarity. She is no longer defined by who loves her, but by the fact that she finally loves herself. Months have passed, and the chaos of Madison's scandal has faded into the background noise of Hollywood's endless gossip cycle. The world has moved on to new scandals, new idols, new distractions. But Madison hasn't returned to that world. She has built a quieter life, one not measured by headlines or red carpets, but by the stillness of mornings and the honesty of her work with the foundation. One chilly autumn afternoon, as leaves spiral down from trees and the city hums with its ordinary rhythm, Madison finds herself strolling past the same Brooklyn cafe where everything began to change. Through the fogged glass, laughter and warmth spill into the street. Her steps falter when she notices Noah inside, seated at a corner table with friends, his head tilted back in laughter. He looks at peace, as if the storm they weathered never touched him, or perhaps as if he has healed in his own way. Then his gaze lifts, and their eyes meet through the window. For a suspended moment, time folds. There's no crowd, no paparazzi, no disguise. Only two souls who once collided and left an imprint that cannot be erased. Their connection is wordless, carried not by speeches or declarations, but by something subtler, a flicker of recognition, a quiet acknowledgement of what once was. Noah doesn't rise from his chair. Madison doesn't step inside. Instead, a small, almost imperceptible smile touches her lips, and across the glass, Noah returns it. It isn't the promise of rekindled romance, nor the bitterness of what was lost. It is simply the truth. What they shared was real, even if unfinished. For Madison, the restraint of this moment is more profound than any dramatic reunion could ever be. She no longer needs validation in the form of grand gestures, nor does she need Noah to complete her story. His presence, his smile, is enough, proof that their bond mattered, that her journey toward authenticity began with his kindness. She turns away, heart heavy yet strangely light, knowing that love, in its purest form, doesn't always end in possession. Sometimes it is enough to have been seen, truly seen, even once. Madison continues walking until she finds a quiet park nearby, its benches dappled with late afternoon sunlight. She sits, fingers tracing the cool chain of the diamond necklace that still hangs around her neck, the last remnant of Ethan's hold over her. It sparkles, ostentatious, a relic of a life she no longer belongs to. Slowly, deliberately, she unclasps it and sets it down on the wooden bench beside her. For a moment, she stares at it, feeling the weight of years of objectification, control, and hollow praise. Then she rises, leaving it behind without ceremony. A stranger passing by picks it up, eyes widening at the unexpected treasure, but Madison doesn't look back. She walks away lighter, as if shedding the last chain tethering her to who she once was. The city breathes around her, ordinary and alive. And in that simplicity, Madison finally feels whole. A quiet whisper escapes her lips, not for cameras, not for applause, but for herself alone. For the first time, I'm not the most beautiful woman alive. I'm just me, and that's enough. Those words, soft as a sigh, carry the weight of her transformation. She disappears into the city, not as Madison Cole the icon, but as Madison, a woman finally free.